Hey everyone, welcome to the Academy Consulting Podcast. My name is Erica.
And I'm Mike.
And this month we have been talking about things that some people think God said, but we're actually debunking it. So let's start with the first one. What is the first thing that God never said?
Well, God never said that he wouldn't give you more than you could handle. A lot of times people think like, God will never give you more than you can handle. But that's just not true. It's actually the opposite in the Bible. God says the opposite. I've heard it so many times over the years. God will never give you more than you can handle. And I'm always trying to balance, should I correct them or not correct them or whatever? But it's just so wrong.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you that God never said that. But sometimes...
Well, everyone agrees with it. He never said it.
Okay, he never said it. But do you think somehow, having that belief can make what you're going through seem a little easier to say, God loves me so much, I know that he knows I can handle this?
I think it gives you a false sense of strength. You got to be able to solve all your problems and fix all the things. You got to be able to be the perfect parent, perfect worker, perfect everything all the time because God would never give you too much. I think it sets our mind totally wrong. Instead, It's more healthy to say, sometimes life just does give you more than you could handle. It's not God doing it to you, but life, even good things, can just be overwhelming at times. And so God actually says, life is overwhelming, and I'd like to help you. That's what he says. He doesn't say, do it on your own or you're weak.
Yeah, okay. So how has this played a role in your own life? How have you learned this lesson for yourself?
Oh man, I've heard it so many times. Just this last week, I was at this doctor appointment, and I had to spend a lot of time with a person doing some stuff and checking me in, and it was a long time. And she was amazing. I'll say she was 40 something, and basically her whole life, we shared life stories. We're together a long time. Her whole life was more than someone should be able to handle. From childhood through teen years to adult years, all of it was one thing after another. But she still had such joy. And as we talked about it, she talked about this great connection she had with God and how she saw God. And that's inspiring to me. Because sometimes people think as soon as something goes wrong, God doesn't love them or whatever, because they think it's all about themselves. And so she inspired me. And it made me think about my own life, things that have gone well and things that haven't gone well, what I've been able to handle and not handle. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, did I answer your question or maybe not?
Well, she was a good example.
I'm super excited about her. I actually we talked. It's hey, we should get coffee sometime. Not some weird date or something, but I wanted to include her in my group of friends. I just really, really liked her. And then I left and I couldn't find her in the hospital. But
so if you think back to this woman in particular, did she have faith? Was it her faith that got her through?
Yeah, she had a ton of faith.
Okay.
But her faith was not in a God who fixes every problem and just makes life perfect. Mm-hmm. Her faith was in a God who loves her no matter what and is there to be a shoulder to cry on no matter what. And the good in her life she gave God credit for. I don't know. Yeah,
I think in my experience this is something that I know you and we work with people and are in life doing life with people who are experiencing things that are really hard to handle. Sometimes seemingly impossible to handle. And when they don't have faith, it's hard to explain to them. When they say to me, if God loved me, he wouldn't have taken my baby from me. And that's a hard one to explain.
Yeah.
So if you're listening today and you are one of those people, what would you have to say to one of those people who have this anger towards God because their life has been a certain way?
Well, remember I pastored a church for 20 years and I've heard all of those comments many times. Even whether it's something in my opinion, super tough, someone loses a child, I don't know, what could be more difficult, all the way to a 50-year-old person really mad at God because a grandparent died. And it was hard because I was well, they're 90 some years old, healthy the whole time. You should really be thanking God that they had an amazing life. So it depends on the situation, really, what I would say to someone. Mm-hmm. But garbage just happens in life. It's all throughout the Bible. Jesus said it himself. Life is really stinking hard. It just is. So you shouldn't be surprised that life is hard, and you shouldn't blame God for life being hard.
Yeah. I think I say it a lot, and I believe it because I live my life in this way, that perspective is everything.
Yeah.
And faith gives you a different perspective about the hardest things.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, sometimes it takes that hard experience before people are, what do you say, hurting enough to cry out to God and say, God, help me, I need you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, but also fortunately for a lot of people, it takes like the deepest, darkest valley in order to turn and find God in that.
Yeah, and again, like you said, it's perspective and desire. Like this woman I talked about that I was so impressed with, as we talked, I was like, well, hey, what church do you go to? And it's in Milwaukee. She lived in Milwaukee, and she's like, oh, I don't really go to church. And she doesn't really have anything against church or whatever. She just, whatever. She doesn't go for her own reasons. She's not mad at anybody or anything like that. But her faith was amazing. So, I mean, I think she had a better understanding of God and struggles in life because, like I said, she had 40 years basically of like really big stuff and still had this great perspective and this joy to her. I think she had a better perspective about God and the Bible than even some pastors that I know who like work at a church for years and years. It's all that. It's about your desire. It's about your perspective, and anyone can have the right desires and the right perspective. You don't have to be a pastor or a Bible scholar.
Yeah, and blessings or materialistic things don't make you happy. I learned this really on my trip that I took to Belize, and these people have no beds. They're sleeping on dirt floors. They have nothing. We're delivering them rice and beans, and you think it's the best day of their life. And then we go to a church service with them, and they are worshiping like I have never seen someone worship. The joy of the Lord was like, I've never seen that before. Yeah,
I can sort of relate, not personally, but I have two friends that adopted children from Africa. And when they talk about their visit in Africa and being in the villages and stuff and interacting with adults and children and finding so much happiness and joy despite these people like barely having enough food to get by and whole families living in a 12 by 12 house, they had joy and happiness and all the good things in their life with very little like stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's just a choice.
Here's something that I always tell people. I always say, what does it hurt to try? To start a conversation with God, to say, you know what, I really don't believe in you, but help me to see. It could be that simple. Yeah. Like this month throughout the lessons that you taught, you really like the one thing that you were teaching, but maybe not intentionally, was the way that you pray.
Okay.
And it really is just like a conversation with a friend. And it's like, pretend you're meeting him for the first time and you say, tell me a little bit about yourself. Not something that you've heard necessarily from other people, but the Bible does say, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door will be open. It's not like knock, hey, I need a new car delivered to my driveway. Please let me, win the lottery. Yeah. But it's knock and ask to show up. God, help me to see you. Show me who you are. He promises that. And I have experienced it. I've walked with people who have done it and also experienced it. I would 100% guarantee if you do it with an open heart and an honest heart and with pure intentions, he will show up.
Yeah, this may be a bit raw, but having my pastoral career and stuff that I've had, sometimes I say to God, I don't stinking understand what you're doing. Literally, those are my words. I just don't stinking understand this. It makes no sense to me. What are you possibly up to here? He can handle that. That's how I'm feeling inside. There's no sense in hiding it. So I just say it to him. He's not mad at me about that. That's what a real relationship is sometimes. So talk to God like you would another person that you actually trust. And that you can say anything to, and they're still going to love you afterwards.
Yeah.
That's the only way to begin a real relationship or to grow your relationship with him. Mm-hmm. In the lessons I talked about, one reason that God will allow you to experience more than you can handle is so that you experience his presence in your life. And you've kind of addressed that already. Mm-hmm. The other thing I talked about is so that you can experience his power in your life. Tell me some time when like you were struggling and not loving it, and then you did experience God's power in your life. Can you explain a time like that? Oh,
I have so many, but very, very recently, I was actually asked to officiate a funeral for a baby. And by no strength of my own, especially being a mom myself, leading up to the moment and being, in that moment of delivering God's message to people, which I certainly didn't feel worthy of and didn't think I would be able to make it through. A simple prayer before is, okay, God, I need you to take over for me. And there were certain times in what I was saying that I felt like, oh no, I'm going to lose it. And every time I just felt that gentle reassurance of, like, I got you.
That you were going to lose it and cry during the service.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, okay? Let's be super real. How many times did you cry about this situation before you even went to do the service?
Oh.
How many? Ballpark.
Well, I only had a few days between the ask and the do, so probably 2 really good cries, but a lot of tears in the midst of it. Yeah.
See, and that's just what's real. People think pastors are bulletproof or whatever, and and we walk through people's difficult life circumstances, but they're a struggle, and it's a real struggle. And even someone who loves God and is trying to help, stuff still hurts. It just does. And I've had multiple situations like Erica has described, and I cried every time. I mean, I might have been able to hold it together in the service, but it's just some sad, difficult stuff. And for both of us, and we're hoping for you too, like, these are times when you can bring God in instead of like run from him or be mad at him.
Yeah. And it's easy to see how you would be mad. In this instance, for me, there were times when I was mad. And I said to God, what in the world? Why, God? Why would you do this? Help me to see, And not that I got an immediate answer, and someday I think I'll know. But there are a lot of questions, and we've said this before, but I think as humans, we want answers. We want, why this, why me, explain God. It's this or that, or explain this is true or that's true. And I think the real beauty of life and the experiencing heaven on earth is living in the mystery and living with the questions and being okay in the questions.
In America, we're told that we're supposed to be happy all the time. Everything's out there to serve us, the new pair of jeans, the fast hamburger, whatever it is. Everything's all about us because, frankly, that's what sells. We're sold that constantly. But God doesn't exist to serve us, and God doesn't exist just to make us happy all the time. God loves us. He delights in our happiness, but that's not why he's there. And I think we have that screwed up.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that there's more than just happiness in the moment. There's just more to life than that. And there's more to look forward to even beyond this life on earth right now, too.
Yeah, I think happiness is a feeling. And, the Bible talks about joy. Joy is a state of being. And this is the difference, is that a lot of things come and go that, have to make us happy or unhappy. But faith and dependence and reliance on God, and that the love that I know he has for me, and I hope that you too feel that he has for you, and the dependence that I know that he's there, that with him I can conquer anything. Nothing will be too hard for me because I have him. That's joy to me. And that's exactly where you can find joy even in the hardest things.
Exactly. One of the main reasons why we're doing what we are doing in ministry right now and in doing so much counseling is because we want to help people. So if you're struggling right now, like with whatever area of your life, marital, health, whatever it may be, we would love to help you with it. I mean, that's what we're really excited to do. We love meeting, and we might even cry with you. It happens. But you don't have to struggle alone. We're here to help you, and God is there to help you too. We want to help you find him.
Yeah, and even if you aren't even sure that God exists, we'll help you figure that out too. Not in some in-your-face, pushy kind of church way, but in a way that's unique.
Unique. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's what is so important to me. There isn't like a cookie-cutter way to know God or to experience God or to even worship God. There's a million individual ways all over the world. I have mine, you have yours, and you have yours too. And we want to help you grow yours and find it and feel strong and healthy about it.
Yeah, and as Mike is saying all this too, in my mind, I am picturing the clients that I've had, the current clients that I do have, and seeing the transformation and the aha moments. It's humbling, and it is such an honor to be able to help people to become friends with God, with their Creator, and it is really, really a gift.
And there's so much joy in that. Like you mentioned, clients that we're working with, and everyone's so unique. It's just so fun to talk to so many different, unique people that have their own choices and lifestyles and all this stuff, and to be able to get to know them. So I just marvel at how excited God must be, right?
Yeah.
Like to have all these different people all over the earth, all uniquely made, and then to know them individually. I mean, it must be just amazing fun.
I just want to say one thing. I know we're going to wrap up here in a second, but this just reminds me of, the beautiful thing about God is he takes our messes and he can make them into miracles. And that sounds kind of cheesy and whatever, but just yesterday I was having this meeting with a client, and he said to me, you are not going to understand because you haven't done anything near what I've done. And I said to him, well, try me. And he said something to me, and I came back and I said, so this. And he was just like, he couldn't believe it. And I said to him, see, this is what God can do. God can use your worst stuff, and someday he's going to use you to help someone else in it too.
Yeah.
And that's just cool. That's just really cool to me.
Yeah, I can't add to that. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with us, the link to our website is in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening today, and we will talk soon.